Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Just Gaming Tingz podcast. We are bringing an all queer perspective on video games, gaming news, and nerdy things. I'm one of your hosts, Project Ruby. And joining me, we have so many amazing people, starting with Dextralicious. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to this week's episode. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling feelings.
Love
Yes, we love
that.
feeling feelings.
Absolutely.
Right. Can you believe?
Can you believe?
Also joining me, we have the wonderful Jam.
Hi, hello, I'm here. Yeah.
Yes. Are you
And I'm
feeling
feeling
feelings as
iconic.
well?
I'm feeling feelings. I'm feeling iconic. It's a Saturday. I'm here. Thriving.
Yes. Also, hopefully
Just doing our
feeling
due.
feelings. We have Koga Jingles.
Hello. I'm
Yes.
doing all right. I'm feeling actually I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry out of nowhere. So oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Not this.
Not
Not
that.
now.
Well,
Tummy be strong. Tummy be strong.
if y'all hear a growl, it was not a pet of yours. It was Koga struggling on this day. Koga's stomach just saying, "Hi, I'm hungry.
Hi,
Feed
hello, I'm
me."
here. Food, where are you?
Already ate.
I hate when that happens. Like you eat something and then you're like, why do I feel like I want to eat more? And you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense. Hello?
Like, why? Why are you doing this?
It's one of the reasons why I don't like eating before bed. That's one of the worst things ever. You eat something just like a midnight snack and then you wake up like as if you didn't eat anything at all. So it's like, what the hell did I eat for? I just wasted food.
What was the point? What was the reason? I get ya. I feel that.
Brutally.
Oh, what a moment. But we're also going to be talking about some headline things, which just, we're going to get into some news stories for the week, which was actually kind of a difficult task to do because this week was kind of one of those like slower weeks in the news as far as gaming. But we're trying our best and we're doing our thing. And so we're actually going to start off with the thing that kind of broke out basically the day before we did our last episode. And so now that there's been a bit of time to kind of let it sit, I guess we're gonna get into it. So Twitch has decided to sue alleged hate raiders. Yeah. So for people who don't know and they don't, you don't consume content on Twitch, and you may be watching this on YouTube or listening to this on a podcast service later, we on Twitch have been struggling with a lot of like harassment and hate raids, and it's basically like people are spamming streamers' chats with like hateful language, with bigotry, with racism, with like doxing personal information, like a lot of like disgusting behavior, truly. And so Twitch, in a surprising turn of events, they actually have turned to the legal system and they have sued two people who they are alleging that are behind all of the attacks, or at least most of the attacks that have been happening. And so they, yeah, they're doing it. They're doing the damn thing. And so what I wanted to ask from this was, do you think that Twitch taking this action is going to make any significant changes as far as like, people maybe being afraid of doing more hate raids, or people being afraid of getting sued? Or do you think it's going to do the opposite of like more people are going to come out and be like, oh, you can't take us down? What do y'all think?
I think that it will deter a lot of people who I think it will deter some people. I don't think it'll deter everyone. Like some people are truly like they just don't care, right? Like
Right.
they were gonna do it no matter what happened, right? Because some people feel that behind a keyboard they are all powerful in God and no one can touch them. So they're like, I'll do it and it doesn't really matter. But I think you'll have some people who will second guess doing these types of things. But then I think you'll also have people who will avoid doing it by themselves in like little one-off situations, right? Like where you have like one person who comes into your chat, pretends to be nice for a bit, and then starts doing those types of things, because it's like then it's you, and there's no hiding yourself, right? So it's going to deter, I think, some of those people as well, which I think is good. Hopefully the whatever other back end things that they're going to also try to do will help to deter people, but I think this is a good step. Like, this is actually taking a forceful action, which is nice, as opposed to just saying, oh well, there's nothing we can do about it type of thing. Like suing someone and saying there are things you will have to answer to in the court of law about the things that you've done, I think is pretty important and a big deal, and makes it more known publicly, other than them handling it on the back end and banning someone.
Right, which they've tried doing, and that's why they, I think, went towards the legal side of things, because they are also talking about how they just generated thousands of accounts to evade getting banned on their service and stuff like that. And the silly thing for me is I feel like these people that are responsible for a lot of these attacks and stuff like that, they claim to be like so smart and like geniuses, and they think that they're doing all of that, and then like they fully demonstrate online how the bot works and how they did it and how it's working and it's happening. And it's like, did you think that you were gonna broadcast that into the world and that nothing was gonna come back to you? Like, what? What's your take on this, Koga? Do you think the attacks are gonna slow down a bit, or kind of more of the same?
I would hope so. I know, like a day or so after the article came out about them suing, that it was still kind of an issue, and like there was like another like a set of accounts that people had to like ban and whatnot. So I'm not sure what has been past that, but I would hope that it would maybe do something, to make it to where the consequence will make it to be less of a thing. But I mean, we'll see. We'll have to see how things are. It's just that it also just comes down to they need to, do better and having things in place rather than it just being okay. They'll sue. I mean, because let's just be honest, some of them might get smarter and maybe and just find another way to get around things. Which that's just how it is. So they need to be more on top of that and not have it to where we have to do that, because it's very annoying. It's one of the reasons why until this past week I just didn't even bother, because like I like to just do it, just stream just enjoyment and for fun, and I'm not trying to have to come in and be like, all right, so am I going to get a bunch of bot followers which Twitch will ban you for, which makes no sense. And I'm like, yeah, never mind. But we'll see. I'm hopeful of that, but it's a start. They have to do something like more than that than just we'll sue these two people. No,
right? Yeah, for me, my personal experiences with it have been that like it did ramp up after the articles came out about the sewage happening, and they created like accounts under different names as well to like try to trick people. And I think it's been a little bit more intense. But on the Twitch side of things, something that actually wasn't mentioned in the article is that there have been creators that created bots against these bots that have since gotten like verified so that they can actually do more to help people. Which is really cool to see, like Twitch being like, you know what, we're not doing the work. Let's actually give people who are doing the work access so that they can continue doing the work. And hopefully, Twitch is also compensating them. That would be very ideal. Hopefully so, and hire them. That would be great as well. If they want to get hired by Twitch, of course. That would be great. I definitely think that more needs to keep happening. I mean, what I could ask, just so that we're not saying the same thing over and over again. Dex, do you think that like they, moving forward, like what could they do more to like help against these hate raids and all that stuff, or what they should do.
I'm not entirely sure like what they should do apart from just like getting these people who are making their own bots for this and getting that verified. I feel like yeah, it's like it comes across that they should obviously compensate them and possibly hire them to like do it because it's just like I feel like Twitch should be able to make those systems themselves and that they should have already have done that. But the fact that just like average streamers and stuff had to like take it into their own hands to make it just really just doesn't sit well with me because I just feel like they didn't put as much work because they had their little announcement that was like, oh, we're like taking things into our own hands, but you might not see like what we're doing yet, but like nothing was being done. Like the only thing that was being done was people taking into their own hands and making their own bots and stuff that helps with this. So it's just, I just hope that they will someday just at least become more aware and like even like hire these people and compensate these people for like actually making things that they just like refuse to or are unable to like create themselves.
Yeah. And I think it goes beyond that as well. Like I think the fact that I understand the side like their point in saying like we can't say exactly what we're doing because then people are gonna make things that circumvent that, and I get that, but you can communicate in a vague way of like we're working on something that has to do with this. Like they don't have to say exactly what in order for the general viewer and streamer to have an idea of like, okay, they're working on something, instead of being like, we're working on things we can't show you or talk about it, and you're like, okay, and then like a week later they do something that's completely unrelated and you're like, what about the other thing, and so like if they were communicating, they would be like, we have different projects coming out and it's different teams working on different things, so don't worry when you see this thing coming out, it has nothing to do with our progress on that other thing. But unfortunately the communication just isn't that clear. But it is kind of unfortunately to be expected from a huge corporation like this, that they aren't like super transparent, which is very disappointing, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Like with new platforms coming out. Yeah, you want to say something, Tim?
Well, I just think I agree with you that it's sad that like a big corporations like this can't do that. But I think the problem is that their marketing team focuses on different things and it's not communicating how we're working to protect you. It's communicating how we want to make money from you, right? As opposed to and selling you the services that we have, as opposed to, oh, here's a thing for the people on our platform that are making us the money by providing the content. And so, I think that's one of the biggest differences is that like they don't take that form of communication seriously. They just think, oh, we need to be able to communicate to get people to log into the site on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't really sit well with me, like seeing something going on and then like you receive an email that's like, remember, subs are cheaper this month, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to give money to you right now. Like
Right.
like I don't know why you're trying to sell me on your like services when I'm like, okay, what about this thing or that thing? Like even if they honestly, if they for some reason Amazon didn't give them the budget and they had to be like, hey, we need funding for this thing, which would be kind of embarrassing to be honest, but at least people would understand, I guess. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting as like new platforms start like coming out. I know there's a new platform coming out in November that alleges to have a bigger priority on mental health and safety and all that. So we'll see how that's gonna go. With new platforms, it's always very unpredictable.
Who's it
and-
with?
Sorry?
So, who is it? Who's the new, I guess, platform that's supposed to be coming this October or November-ish?
It's I think it's called Altair. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Altair. They're labeling themselves as a mindfully designed streaming platform, and they're basically like, as of now, they're just taking like investors and visionaries and stuff like that. Which I guess a visionary is someone that you kind of tip them and you get to like save like a username for yourself or something like that. But and apparently the person in charge was someone that I think worked at Twitch or something like that before. So we'll see how that goes. I'm always that type of person that's like I'll believe it when I see it, and when I actually see it in action, because there's always that fear of like putting your hopes and trust behind like something new and then it potentially disappointing you. So not saying that that's what's gonna happen, but it has happened before. So it's like I'll believe it when people actually say that they've had a good experience and all of that. So yeah, who knows? Maybe one day we'll stream over there if it turns out to be a great platform.
Maybe.
We'll see. But there's more issues going on in gaming and releases and such, and Dex has a story for us.
Yes, recently Deathloop from Arcane Studios came out September 15th, and although it seems like it's been receiving rave reviews, there has been a huge issue with stuttering issues in terms of the game, which has previously been just accused of being just because of the anti-piracy software, but later on it was just determined that it was just the game itself was the reason why the stuttering issues were present. And due to these stuttering issues, along with a ton of crashes and such being reported, the company has the game has received a mixed review on Steam due to various issues. So I just thought this was, interesting, because although like it is Bethesda, it is a different studio though. So like they're more knowledgeable and have been more successful in terms of like game launches. So like I'm hoping that this isn't definitely not as big as like any other like actual like full on Bethesda game has been like in terms of like terrible startup releases. But then like I also didn't know this just from seeing like Deathloop so much. I actually didn't realize it was only on PlayStation 5 and not Xbox. And it won't be on Xbox until a year from now, which is so odd, which I'm assuming that I'm assuming that Arcane did the partnership with Sony before Xbox acquired Bethesda, right? So like
Yeah.
they probably already
Yeah.
had that in the works. Like that's why it's only released on PlayStation, but because of the acquisition, this is just so odd to see that like an Xbox owned company is now releasing a game only on PlayStation for a year. So I also thought that was an interesting tidbit I actually didn't know. But I was wondering how y'all felt about like Deathloop, if y'all seen anything about it, or like if these issues make sense and all that stuff. I would like to know.
Ooh.
I think that the issues I think that the issues make sense. I think that I think the big thing is with it being like touted so much as an exclusive on PS5, I think they focus very much on the development there, because I feel like a lot of the issues that have been coming out have been mainly on the PC copy of the game. And so I wonder if the development, because of some agreement that Sony had, was so focused on the PlayStation 5 build of the game that when it came to the PC build, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit when it came to its development. But yeah, it's pretty interesting because I know that Dishonored had some little issues at the beginning, but all in all turned out, which is an older game from Arcane, turned out to run very smoothly, and both of the games have been relatively well received. And so this game seems to be well received by reviewers. So I'm hoping that if they can get this fixed, it'll still go well, though I have to wait a year to play it, so I'm a little upset about that. But
Well. Yeah.
what about you, Koga or Ruby?
Yeah, I think for me, now seeing that it's a PS5 exclusive for the time being, it kind of makes sense that it's kind of better optimized over there. And then like the PC version seems to have been kind of an afterthought, not in a bad way, because it doesn't seem like there's like issues that are big enough to the point where like the game is completely unplayable. But it definitely is like isn't surprising because I just think that I think game dev is probably way harder these days than it's ever been because like platforms are just so different. There's so many reiterations of everything and like developing for a console and then for PC and then knowing that Xbox is coming the year after and like all of that stuff. I'm sure it's not easy to juggle. At the same time though, like I kind of do wish, and we say this literally all the time, but I do wish that even if it was like a month or a couple weeks delay, that they just went with that so that this wouldn't happen. Because it kind of sucks to see like a game that has like tens on like, you know, in reviews and games that are reviewing really well. And then you open Steam and it has like mixed reviews and you're like, oh, so what's the truth? What's going on here? So that kind of sucks for them because like I feel like I would imagine that being a dev at Arcane would be kind of shitty to like open a page and be like, oh, our launch could have been so much better if we had like maybe a couple more weeks. But alas, we didn't. But yeah, unfortunately, a game launching with issues is unfortunately not a surprise anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't kept up much with it. I do know when I'm looking over at Steam now, currently it's at mostly positive. It says that
Ooh.
71% of the 4,772 users review this game are positive. So I'm not sure if it was just maybe if there was another patch that may have came out, or maybe, of course, there's going to be some people who aren't going to have an issue because that's how it is, and they'll go, everyone's upset and they'll be, oh, but it works fine for me. Shut up. But hopefully they fix whatever the issue is. Unfortunately, I haven't looked into it too much on what's happening with that game and the issues that it has. So I'll probably check a few things out. But I mean, unfortunately, things coming out and not being 100% perfect at launch is a thing, and especially on PC because it's dealing with different types of hardware. So for some people, it'll work fine or enough to satisfactory, and for other people, it may not. It really just depend. But I mean, like I said, I think they'll probably fix it. It doesn't sound like it's like Fallout levels of, okay, this is absolute busted.
Fallout 76 launch tease,
Yeah, so I mean,
Oh my
they should
God,
be
that
fine.
was so
but
bad.
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty bad. As for it being a PS5 exclusive, I actually didn't know that. Which I don't know. See, the funny thing is, despite all the trailers that they've shown, I haven't watched most of it. They put on so many trailers after a certain point, I turn my head.
It was at
But
like so many presentations. So like
It
you
was.
just get the feeling that it's on everything because it was there, but in reality it's like
No,
Xbox
just
doesn't
on-
have it.
It was just at every PlayStation 5 event and showcase they could show it at because they were like, here's a game that you'll be able to play on the PlayStation 5.
Right. And
Right.
that might have been intentional on Bethesda's part to be like, it's not really an exclusive. It's on PC, it's on consoles. Like they still kind of follow through, and they said that they were gonna, follow through with their previous deals of exclusivity on other platforms and stuff like that. But it doesn't surprise me that they didn't just save it for PS5 related things as well. They just showed it on PC related events and stuff like that because like they really wanted the game to seem or to feel like, for the general public to be like, oh, it's going to be everywhere, right? And it's like, no, it's not. Not yet. Well, we know it's not out everywhere.
Oh my god.
a new Wipeout game, question mark?
Oh my god. Okay, so I didn't find this out until yesterday. I got up and I was on YouTube and I see there's a new Wipeout game and I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, which Wipeout is normally PlayStation, so why am I getting excited? I don't know. But I like Wipeout. I like fast games like that. And I was thinking, okay, it's cool. They're making another one. Well, they are, but it's coming out on mobile. So if you're someone who hates mobile games, I don't know what to tell you. This ain't gonna be for you. Because I saw like the video reveal for it on YouTube. Oh, there's so many thumbs down. People were mad about that, which I can understand. Because there's not a current. I mean, there was a collection, HD collection that came out on like PS4, and then it was on PlayStation VR, which I haven't tried that. I'd love to, and hope I don't get sick. But for this one, it's of course it's going to be on iOS and Android. It's going to be a card collection to influence races. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like you're actually racing, or you're going to be setting things up, or you're going to be like tapping things. I'm honestly not sure. They're going for a graphic style, I think a lot more of a comic book type look, which honestly I'm cool with that. But yeah, it says unique card-based racing. So I'm not. My concern is how much is this going to cost? I mean, it's probably going to be free to play, but how much is like all the monetization is going to cost, and how, like, is it even going to be like great? So the score is going to be done by is it Alistair Lindsay, and she's done the well, I'm not sure this person actually. Let me double check that because I don't want to be incorrect on that.
Yeah.
Google. Do my job.
Respecting pronouns. We love to see it.
I can't see it, but they've done the previous Wipeout games with Wipeout Pure and Wipeout 2048. So the soundtrack at least sounds like it'll be in good hands, but gameplay wise, we'll have to see. It's only on mobile, which, I mean, everybody has a phone, right? But if you don't want to play on your phone, unfortunately, this is not going to be the Wipeout for you.
Yeah. It just seems like I feel like people would understand if it was like a normal racing game. And I feel like it wouldn't be as like hated or disliked as far as like the YouTube thumbs down situation, which I feel like there would still be a lot of it because people have that guttural reaction to mobile games, which I kind of understand, because I feel like most people, when they would hear that a new Wipeout game is coming, the last thing that they wanted was a mobile game, because there's so many negative connotations with mobile games as far as like the microtransactions and all of that stuff, which is now a thing as well on console games. So I don't know why people are so mad about, so upset about the microtransactions on mobile. But alas, I think this should be interesting because it's kind of like, I think it's going to be one of those games where the race just happens and you control it through like the cards, and like whether it's like a power up or whether it's like something to sabotage the other racers or whatever. Because it seems like it's going to be a situation where they're kind of into the, like, a lot of the mobile games that are kind of idling, like you can play it, but things are happening automatically and you just do a couple things and you control it through that. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if I'll get it. I mean, if it's free to play and if I happen to remember to download it, I might give it a try, because Wipeout was actually pretty fierce back in the PS. I remember playing it in the PS1 days. It was kind of fierce. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if this is gonna be for me. Otherwise, what do y'all think, Jam?
Yeah, from looking at the trailer that I saw of it, yeah, it just seems like the race is happening. You just kind of like click some things to say speed it up, slow it down, like as you go through corners, I think. So I don't know how much I'm gonna be into that. I'm not really into like idle games, because the point for me of playing a game is to like actively be doing something else so that I'm not focused on like other things in the world that are like bothering me at the time. So if I just have to like click a card and watch it happen, it's not like, doesn't seem like my cup of tea. I'll probably try it because if it's mobile and it's free, why not give it a shot? Maybe I'll like it, but I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah,
Not for me.
I kind of feel you on that, on the like the idle stuff, because like I do play a couple games on mobile and they have the option to do auto battling and stuff like that, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, I mean, for grinding I get it, because I just click on that auto while I'm doing something else and it just kind of happens, but otherwise it's just like, whatever. But yeah, like I'm gonna pull up some footage of it. Hopefully, as we kind of share our final thoughts on it, because it's a pretty short trailer as well. But yeah,
It's supposed to
What
come
about
out
you, Dex?
sometime
What do you
next
think?
year.
Okay, well, first off, my biggest issue is anytime I hear Wipeout, I don't think of the racing game.
Think of the show?
I think of the show, and it
oh,
makes me think of like the Connect one too. And I'm just like, wow, they really keep making Wipeout games, huh? But no, it's the racing game. And I have to remind myself of that. But it's like, I love racing games. But when I was reading this article and it said card based, I had to look away. It's definitely a no for me. I'm sure it'll be interesting, maybe. And like the game kind of looks cute, but it the vibe of it being card based is giving like automated, like y'all were saying. Like you just like press stuff to like change what may happen in a race, but like you're not driving actively. And I
right.
don't think I like that.
Yeah. Like I really like the art style. I think whoever decided to do the art the way that they did an amazing job. Like
I
it
agree.
looks really, really nice. And I bet that the game will be fun for people who find that style of like gameplay for this to be fun. And who knows, like I might play it and realize that okay, I actually do really like racing games in this way because like I'm not good at driving in games, so racing games are always really difficult for me to like enjoy because I'm so bad at driving in games. So maybe this is the way for me to get into racing games.
Yeah.
Maybe. We also have to
Maybe
think
so.
about the fact that sometimes not I guess without generalizing, but the mobile market tends to be a little younger as well. So it could definitely be a situation where it's like baby's first racing game, and they're just like tapping on buttons while the little vehicle kind of just moves by itself. But I definitely like the fact that it's the comic book style kind of does give it a little bit more personality, and gives it a unique twist. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll report on it. If it happens to be free and we happen to remember when it comes out, we might report on it and give our thoughts on it.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's good. I know I just noticed it. So the first video that they put up, it got downvoted so much they deleted it and then put up another one and it got downvoted too. I don't know why why people do this. It's like, yeah, if people don't like it, they just don't like it. But I mean, at the same time, it could also just be that it could just be, and it can be just a vocal minority. It can still potentially just do well regardless. I mean, a lot of people just don't get on the internet, say their opinion. They just play and do whatever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have issues with mobile games, but mobile games are very successful. Like it's kind of scary because the industry could go in that direction and it would work.
Oh yeah.
Please.
Oh yeah. I can definitely see the industry going that way.
Hopefully not. I don't want to.
It kind of has a little bit. Like if we think about like one of the most successful games of last year, Genshin being like a mobile, and Among Us as well being a mobile game that also plays on PC and then now other platforms. Like it definitely could be a direction in which games are heading to, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
because like everybody has a phone. Most people have a phone, I should say. But I would say nowadays it's probably the opposite, where like it's a bigger like it's a less people have like a console, I would assume, or like a good enough PC to play like a brand new game. And with a phone, it's like they can easily, or I wouldn't say easily, but they can cater to a way bigger audience. That's why the Epic thing that we talked about last week was such a big deal, because the mobile audience is really big, and so they were losing out on a lot of money by having that percentage be as big as it was. But yeah, that's. I hope that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Oh, I was gonna say. I think even with. You see that even coming from like with Epic and like their big win there, but I think even Microsoft with like xCloud, right? Like that's a way for people to play higher end games on mobile, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can say, oh, I can take my tablet or my phone, and all I got to do is buy a controller and pay for Xbox Game Pass or Xbox X Cloud, and I can play whatever game I want from anywhere on my phone or on this thing, and it allows you to play higher end games on a device that's small, that's more affordable for most people. And I think
Yeah.
that's also, you see that they're not making a traditional mobile game, but you still get to do it, and all you've got to do is connect a controller through Bluetooth to your phone, which has Bluetooth, right, to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So it could happen. I think it's a huge possibility that the market's going towards mobile gaming. I think it's just might not be solely like the games we think of in terms of mobile.
Yeah. I think mobile games are turning into like more of like what handhelds used to be, as far as like a Game Boy Advance game or a PSP or a PS Vita. Like I can see this, like if the Vita was still alive, RIP PS Vita. But if she still was a thing, this would have been a game that would have come out there, you know, like the weird, quirky, like spin-offs from like their people's main franchises. And it's like, instead of spending a lot of money creating and manufacturing these handheld devices, literally just, if someone has a phone, just literally make a game and put it on there. And hopefully this is gonna increase some interest for the series as well, for Wipeout. Who knows, maybe it could reach a bigger audience and they can try out to like, you know, bring the series back on new gen stuff. And it would be really cool, like seeing like Wipeout in like new gen graphics and all that would be amazing. So hopefully they can make it happen. Well, you know who also made something happen? Miss Nintendo.
Finally, Miss Nintendo, she did it.
After 4 years of releasing the Nintendo Switch, they, thanks to a new update, a new software update, now you can connect Bluetooth devices for audio output on your Nintendo Switch. So, very, very interesting thing is that in order for you to connect a Bluetooth device, you can't have more than 2 wireless controllers connected to it. And apparently the second you do play with someone else, either locally or online, from what I've heard, it automatically like disconnects. And I've also heard of stories where it's not the most, you know, reliable. But I personally haven't tried it. So what do y'all think about this random announcement that came out of nowhere?
I just feel like so much time has passed, and it makes zero sense to me why it took this long. Because like obviously, like if they're able to just make it an update, like that means that they've had the software or like the hardware in the system to where they could do that. So why
Right.
did it take 4 years for them to finally be like, oh, you could connect one pair of headphones to your fucking console instead of just like implementing that sooner or even at launch? Like I don't get why it took so long, and it has all these like repercussions if you use it too, because it's like they have it built in. They just finally, I guess, activated it, but I don't know what they're doing. I never know what Nintendo is doing.
I have thoughts. I have thoughts and feelings, because agreed that it took them way too long for this to happen, right? It's now 2021 and we just now got Bluetooth. But the issue is I think they were trying to figure out their main issue, which is that you can't have more than 2 Bluetooth controllers connected at the same time, but the Joy-Cons count as 2 controllers and not 1.
Yeah.
So you can't use the Joy-Cons while you use Bluetooth headphones, because it can only connect 2 Bluetooth devices at the same time.
Yep.
Shut up.
Eh,
Not that.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the pair of Joy-Cons counts as 2 wireless controllers.
Yep.
So I think that was the issue that they were trying to avoid, was like, we made a console that has two controllers that connect to it through Bluetooth, but our chip can only handle two Bluetooth devices at the same time. So you either need a Pro controller or some other controller that connects via Bluetooth. That's one controller, or a controller that connects via USB. Because if you add in two controllers, the Bluetooth audio cuts out.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
I think is why we haven't had the feature for this long.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like,
They couldn't get around it.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
I don't know why they would turn it on though. Just keep it hidden. Like,
I think it's because they promised. I think it's because they promised it, right? Like when it launched, people were like, why doesn't it have Bluetooth audio? Like we're in 2017, everything has Bluetooth. Lots of people use wireless headphones at this point, so people were like, why does it not have that? And so they were like, it's coming. It'll come in an update. And then I think they've been trying to work around this whole thing, and they never figured out how to do it. So they just said, turn it on. Because we've been promising it the whole time, and we screwed up.
Oh, Nintendo. Yeah. Oh, Nintendo. I wonder if this is also setting up expectations for whatever next reiteration of the Switch is. And, like, you'll be able to connect more controllers on the new updated Switch. Or something like that. I don't know. It's such a weird choice for me, because I feel like Nintendo has that reputation of, like, if it's not, like, working perfectly, or at least it used to, right? Like, if it's not working perfectly, we're not going to have it. And then I feel like with the Switch, they kind of have been missing a little bit of that reputation and good faith that they've built, where it's like the Joy-Cons are kind of a mess, to say the least. And now, like, the Bluetooth situation is like, it's there, but it's also not great. So I really don't know what's their deal. It's such a weird choice to be.
I mean, I don't use it, so luckily that's not an issue that I have to deal with. But I don't see. I'm just curious, like, what's the issue is that causes it to where it's such a hassle if you want to use Bluetooth for audio output. To where it just honestly feels like if you're having people over, it's not even worth it. Just just turn it off and plug it up to your TV. The old-fashioned way. But I don't know. It's Nintendo. They're always behind. Like, they're just now about to release a version with the Switch that has a dock that has an Ethernet cable.
Right.
Which consoles having Ethernet ports has been a thing for like a good 15 years. So I don't know. Nintendo being behind isn't really a surprise at this point. It's just kind of like, oh, you finally added the Bluetooth.
Yeah. It's interesting to me how Nintendo can get away with it, though. I think
Nintendo has all them wonderful games and make you feel warm, happy inside. It's portable.
Yeah.
It's good for the kids, kind of. And
it's just it's the price point. It's always been the cheapest console. Typically, it's the exclusivity of games that they make that isn't anywhere else. It's like, there's the only reason. Like, if I could play Zelda Breath of the Wild on something else, if I could play Pokemon on something else, I wouldn't buy a Switch.
I wouldn't. PC.
Well, fair, but some of us don't have PCs that can handle all that, so we deal with our Xbox.
Yeah, I think they also, like, with the Switch, they've done a good job at, like, building a reputation of, like, we're not for pro gamers. Like you don't get a Switch if you want the console with the best specifications, right? So I think they kind of built their reputation with that, right? Even though they do have a Pro controller.
Fine, scum.
Well, yeah. I think that's kind of where they're going. I think that's how they get away with it being more of a family console, and people knowing, like, oh, it's Nintendo. I'm gonna get it for my Mario games or for Zelda and their exclusives, and then it's okay that they're basically almost like 2 generations behind. Like, it's fine. They were already kind of like half a generation behind with the PS4, and in that gen. And now that we're moving on to this new gen, it's like, girlies, y'all are still behind. What are you doing?
I mean, to be fair, and I kind of hate it, they've been behind in terms of like graphics and whatnot for what, like 15 years now? It's just
Yeah.
their thing. They can get away with being behind because the price point. I mean, some people, I mean, I would prefer like better hardware, but it's like it's worked for them for 15 years.
But
It's like,
here's the thing: they can't make that argument anymore. The Xbox Series S is $299. Like it's hitting where your console is hitting, and it's giving you better graphics. Like that
Yeah.
argument is no longer gonna fit.
but they're going to tell you portable. And then they're going to be like, all right,
Yeah.
now get back to buying the Switch OLED, please. $349.99.
Yeah. And I still go buy it.
Oh my God, are you?
Oh no, I'm not doing that. I will not. My Switch still works. I'll buy new Joy-Cons, but because Joy-Con drift is still a problem. But other than that, I'm not. Yeah, I won't buy it until they make an actually new Switch. I won't buy one. No.
Which, who knows when they're going to do that? I'm like, realistically, I'm like, that's not going to happen like next year or maybe the
No.
year after. So I'm like, when are we going to get a new Switch? Like, when is Nintendo going to catch up?
The next major console generation, like a year before.
Oh no. And it's like slightly better than it's like at the level of like current gen, but by then it's already outdated. But they're like, now we have 4K, and everyone else is like, oh, 4K? What is that? Oh, now we're on to like 8K or whatever. They're like, oh,
24K.
you're still doing 4K, girl. Yeah, but I mean, those new Pokemon, Mario's, Zeldas, they will get us. So
Like, look, I'm about to buy Shining Diamond and Pearl. Like, I am. I will play them.
yeah,
It is what
Well,
it is.
I'll just say y'all have fun with that. I live my life being strong and powerful and not giving Nintendo my money.
I already
So I
have
have
the
to
Switch
see.
at this point.
Uh-huh.
I would be wasting my own money
I
if
mean,
I didn't buy
too.
these games. I spent the money on the Switch to be a clown. Clearly.
Not the...
We put on the clown nose the second we hit purchase on the Switch. Exactly. Should we move on to just Playing Tingz, which is our last segment of the day, where we're going to be sharing what games, demos, and such that we're up to these days. I can start, and we can go up the line this time. I started playing Unmetal. I actually got a little preview of it. The game only comes out on the 28th. And I got a code through being on the Versus Evil Heralds program, which is like a content creator program that they have. And it's really funny. I've played the game, and it's very like Metal Gear meets like stylistically it's like pixelated. And it's really cool because they have like a lot of difficulty modes, so you don't have to be like amazing at the game. I've played it on easy, and it was still challenging, but it was only because I'm terrible at stealth. The game does have like a lot of like funny things where it's like literally they tell you like you're being arrested for a crime you didn't commit, and that's like the whole thing. And the game basically plays like you're playing as the main character. Jesse Fox is telling the story as he's getting interrogated. And it's really cool because like at the beginning of every level, as he's describing it to the person who's interrogating him, the level is building out as he's like describing it, which is really cool. And they have little situations where you can make choices as he's telling the story, which kind of implies like he may be lying at times or exaggerating, which also kind of makes it funny because it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. That's like how you saw it or how you interpret that. But I had a blast with it. I will say the only thing that I would count as a negative to it is like they handle it in a very like it's a joke. It's like obviously not actually happening. But the first thing that happens in the first level is like your character is literally like they fake their own death in a noose. And I know that imagery can be very triggering, even though in the context of the game, it's like obviously not happening because he's telling the story in the present day. So obviously he didn't actually do it, and it's like a tactic to like, you know, bait the guard into like opening the cell and whatever. But just as a warning, because that imagery can be very triggering for folks. That's like the only thing that I can say. And oh yeah, another fun thing I guess that I can say about it is I'm actually going to be in the game. So the PC version of it, when it comes out, they're going to have a free DLC, because I'm in the Versus Evil program. They actually are working with content creators, and we recorded voice lines for like different NPCs in the game, so you can like, you'll be able to hear me doing like random voices throughout the game, which is gonna be really fun. Moans may be included, within context. They may be included. That's all I can say about that. But I'm very excited. It's coming out on the 28th, and obviously I'm definitely going to be streaming it and try to showcase as much as I can of my appearance in the game, as well as, you know, my thoughts on it as more of the game comes out, because I only played the first 2 chapters before its release. So yeah, that's me. That's what I was up to this week. What about you, Koga? What have you been up to?
Quite a bit. I'm just gonna get the obvious out of the way. Played Dokkan, didn't pull the units yet. I hate this game.
Oh no. How much time do you have left to get them?
We don't know exactly, but I would say probably early October. If I don't get them by then, I would have to wait until like early July of next year. That's why it's irritating. So yeah, it's like I have enough red coins to get them for one of them for when they come back. Just like I don't want to have to wait that long, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't feel like tossing money into it. Like, could you imagine me tossing $200 in there to try to do it and then still not get them? I can't get a refund. Stuck. That's why. That's one reason I don't throw money into these games like that, because that sucks.
I could never. Oof.
So I've still been playing Yakuza 6. Definitely can still confirm that it wasn't Yakuza Burnout. Just 5 does a little bit too much for me. It's not a bad game, just a little bit too much. But 6 is a lot of fun so far. So I started playing the Cruising series this past Sunday. I went through Cruising USA, World, and Exotica. I played them on N64 emulator and played it on this thing. This thing is actually pretty good. But getting it to work with RetroArch was annoying. And it was RetroArch's fault, not the controller. But like, Ruby, if you have RetroArch and you try setting up a Nintendo 64 control scheme, and you'll understand. It was frustrating. I managed to get it working, though. I still don't get it. But I just know how to get it to work. But I did run through those 3, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't play much of them like when I was a kid because not enough money. That's it. Not enough money.
That will do it.
So then the reason I was playing those, I wanted to get ready for the new one that was coming out on the Switch this past Tuesday, which was Cruising Blast. This game is so fun, I swear. But it is a crime that it doesn't have online multiplayer. So I have to give it a bit of a down for that.
Oh no.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a port of the arcade game that actually came out in 2017. Which has like Nintendo's name on it. So we were kind of thinking, people were just surprised that they didn't release it until now, but it was more than likely probably due to COVID, because now arcades are not as open anymore. So they ported it over to the Switch, added a few new stages. And why I'm doing this is because there's 5 stages, and then there's like you can kind of think of like a tour of course, where you go through 4, and then, you know, how well you did determines what trophy you get. Those stages are pretty much just another version of those, different themes. So it may have, you know, storm, dinosaurs, UFOs, or cops.
Ooh.
But it is a lot of fun. There's quite a few vehicles, and you even get to play as a Triceratops, a unicorn, a fire truck. It's just one of those games where it's kind of like, why is that happening? And it's like there's no answer for it, because it's just a lot of fun. If it had online, I could recommend it for $40, but for some people, it just may not be enough. But for me, it's all puns intended. It's been a blast to play. I've been playing it like all week, but it's going to be only on the Switch. They, as of right now, I don't think they plan on putting on anything else, because the Cruising series never has been on anything else. They've mentioned they want to do DLC and add online later on down the line. Should have been there at launch. I'm not sure what happened there, but outside of that, it's like definitely one of my favorite games of this year. It's so much fun. It's arcadey racing. I love arcadey games that are just fun to where things make no sense, but it's just a blast to play.
Yeah.
And
Always
that's
good.
all I've played this week. I have to double because I know last week I forgot a game.
Oh no.
Yeah, that I don't even remember what it was, but I remembered it like when someone else started doing it. So I was like, God damn it! I forgot to mention But yeah, I think that's actually it.
Iconic. DM?
So because I am super excited about the remake of the original Dead Space game, I am replaying the Dead Space series because it's one of my favorite horror franchises. So that's pretty much what I have been doing. So I've been playing that. And then what else have I been playing? I've been playing some like really dumb mobile games where you like match things, and that's to fill my time in between. And that's pretty much it because I've been super busy with other stuff, so I haven't had time to play too many other games. But that's kind of what I'm getting into, and I'm waiting to play Psychonauts. It's downloaded. I just need to like have the time to actually sit down and just play it because I know I'm not gonna want to stop.
Right. I love that. When does
Yes. What about you, Dex?
when does the
What?
new Dead Space come out? The remake
I don't
remastered moment.
No clue. I
Well-
think it's sometime. It's either next year or the year after that. I just got really
Oh.
excited because it looks really good from what they've showed from like the development that they have so far. Because they're like kind of rebuilding it from the ground up and just making it it's literally a remake of the original game just in today's graphics, kind of, which is kind of exciting. So I think some of the atmosphere will be a little bit spookier because you can kind of make things really, really dark now and do all of that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
what it's going to be like. So
Exciting.
yes.
What
about you, Dex? What are you playing?
Well, breaking news, there were no games. I just realized I have not played a video
Oh.
game since I week. I
Oh,
have
that
just been busy with
happens.
literally everything else, and I was just like, oh, I never played a video game this week. That's wild. And here I am.
Well, you did mention earlier that you were watching the Final Fantasy 14 situation the other day.
I was.
Did you have
Last night,
any
yeah.
thoughts that anything that stood out to you?
Real quick, like they announced like some really cool abilities and stuff, and they showed off the new classes a little bit more. And it seems like a lot of the classes seem like they're gonna be really fun. However, one of the classes I currently main, which I probably would drop for Sage anyways, is Scholar. And basically, in short, they were like, we're not changing anything with Scholar. We're just giving them one more thing when like Scholar needed help.
Well,
They needed more ballots and stuff. So basically, like the job that I started with and enjoyed the most from the beginning is not getting really updated at all. And not getting balanced or anything. So nervous for her, but we're praying.
oh, oh no. Well,
Yeah.
are you interested in trying any of the new stuff, any of the new classes or anything like that?
Oh, definitely Sage is the new healer. It's definitely something I would want to try. Reaper, which is the new melee. I'm not a melee fan. The class seems cool, but like in the presentation they were like, they're like both kind of like a new kind of complicated. Like they're not like too difficult, but like they're definitely unique. And I'm just like,
What does it
I need some
mean?
easy classes. So I was like, ooh. I'm like, I don't want to end up just only manning Dancer again because I know I could play it, but I feel like that might happen again.
Well, fingers crossed. It will be good and easy and breezy and fun.
Hoping.
Yes, hoping and praying. Yeah, that's it for today's podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Really quick, where can everybody find us? We can start with Dex on the
Yes,
socials.
You can find me on Twitter at DexIsAMess, and you can find me on Twitch where I'm streaming some art and stuff like as frequently as I can when I think of stuff to draw and work on Dextralicious on Twitch, and then YouTube is Dextralicious where I just have like random videos or VODs uploaded there. That's me.
Yes.
What about you, GM?
You can find me everywhere: Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, jam_5899. I'm there being a clown per usual, doing me things. It's fun. I'm a mess.
We
on
love
the
to see
internet.
it.
A mess on the internet. Iconic. What can I say?
Who isn't a mess on the internet? That's what I
Truly.
wanted.
and that's the real tea. That's the real tea. What about you, Koga? Where can we find you?
You can find me here and on Twitter at Koga_Jangles. As I said earlier, this past week I was streaming the cruising series. So this week I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I kind of want to stream a series I haven't played before, but I have to look into it to see if it's not going to stress me out. Because I know one of the games is old school NES bullcrap jank.
Well,
So we'll see.
those are always a moment when you're like, oh, I would love to get into it. And then you're like, oh, wow, the games were really, really hard back then. Very
Me returning to
unforgiving.
like Turok or anything on N64.
Oh my
I
God.
was like, how did I play this as a kid? Like,
There was nothing else to do. We had time. Now we
Yeah.
don't. It's like, all right, look, I paid my dues. I'm cheap. Safe
Right.
states. Let's go.
Save
Truly.
states, they're the moment. We'd love to
Truly.
see it. Yeah, you can find me basically everywhere at Project Ruby. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Project Ruby Gaming as well on YouTube, where I upload gaming videos, VODs and stuff like that. The Project Ruby Instagram and TikTok, and that's basically it. You can find us, of course, if you just found us, you're here, you're watching and listening. So if you're here, click on that follow button, click on that like button, do whatever, all the fun, fancy buttons that you see, click on all of them. Why not? Unless it's like a
Come hang
thumbs
out.
down. Don't do that.
Don't do
Ignore
that.
that one. That one is ugly.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, only ugly people
We don't
click
know
on
her.
thumbs down. Unless one of us has on a different thing. And then in that case, we didn't do it. I promise. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Bye.